Mixed martial arts, or MMA as we all know it, is a wild mix of fighting styles. It's a beautiful dance of brutality, really. You've got everything from boxing to wrestling, judo to jiu-jitsu, all thrown together in a cage. Now, to truly understand what's going on in a fight, you gotta look beyond the punches and kicks. That's where MMA metrics come in. These numbers tell a story. They break down a fighter's performance, revealing their strengths, weaknesses, and everything in between. I remember my first time watching an MMA event like it was yesterday. UFC 1. Royce Gracie was submitting guys twice his size. It was eye-opening, a revelation. Back then we didn't have all these fancy metrics, we just had our eyes and our gut feelings. But now with these advanced stats we can quantify what makes a fighter great. We can see how often they land strikes, how well they defend takedowns, how long they control the fight. These metrics are invaluable for anyone who wants to understand MMA or MMA betting on a deeper level. Coaches use them to develop game plans and track their fighters' progress. Fans use them to analyze fights and argue about who's the best. And you know me, I use them to make sense of the chaos and appreciate the nuances of this incredible sport. So, whether you're a seasoned veteran or a newcomer to the world of MMA, understanding these metrics will enhance your viewing experience and give you a whole new appreciation for the fighters and their skills. It's like having a backstage pass to the fight game. Now let's talk about striking. It's the bread and butter of MMA, the flashy stuff that gets the crowd roaring. But there's more to it than just throwing haymakers. We need to analyze the precision, the volume, the impact of those strikes. That's where striking metrics come into play. First up, we've got significant strikes landed. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It tells you how many times a fighter connects with a meaningful strike. We're talking about punches, kicks, knees, elbows, anything that delivers some serious damage. Then we have significant strikes attempted. This metric gives you the total number of strikes a fighter throws, regardless of whether they land or not. It's all about measuring their output, their willingness to engage. Now, to gauge a fighter's accuracy, we look at their striking accuracy. This is simply the percentage of significant strikes landed out of the total number attempted. A high accuracy means a fighter is precise and efficient, like a sniper picking off their targets. Another important metric is significant strikes per minute, or SSPM. This tells you how many significant strikes a fighter lands on average every minute of the fight. It's a measure of their offensive output, their ability to maintain a high pace. On the flip side, we have strikes absorbed per minute, or SAPM. This metric shows how many strikes a fighter absorbs per minute. A low SAPM indicates good defense and ability to avoid getting hit. And finally, we have striking defense, which is the percentage of opponent's strikes that a fighter successfully defends against. It's all about head movement, footwork, and overall defensive awareness. Alright, let's move on to grappling, the chess match of MMA. This is where things get even more technical. We're talking takedowns, submissions, ground control, all that good stuff. And just like with striking, we have metrics to help us break down the action. First off, we have takedowns landed. This metric tells you how many times a fighter successfully takes their opponent to the ground. A strong takedown game can completely change the momentum of a fight. Then we have takedown accuracy, which is the percentage of takedown attempts that are successful. It's a measure of a fighter's technique and timing. On the defensive side, we have takedown defense. This metric shows how good a fighter is at stopping their opponent's takedowns. It's all about balance, leverage, and knowing how to defend against different takedown attempts. Now for those who love submissions, we have submission attempts. This metric counts how many times a fighter tries to finish the fight with a submission hold. It's a testament to their grappling skills and their killer instinct. And finally, we have ground control time. This metric tells you how long a fighter controls their opponent on the ground. Dominant ground control can be exhausting for the opponent and can lead to both strikes and submission opportunities. Now, let's talk about the metrics that really matter, the ones that determine the winner and loser. These are the fight outcome metrics, and they tell the story of a fighter's career and their ability to finish fights. First up, we have the classic win-loss record. This one's pretty straightforward. It's the tally of a fighter's victories and defeats. It's the ultimate measure of their success in the cage. Then we have the finish rate. This metric tells you what percentage of a fighter's wins come by way of knockout, technical knockout, or submission. A high finish rate is a sign of a fighter who's not afraid to go for the win when available, who's always looking to end the fight decisively. For those fights that go the distance, we have decision wins. This metric shows how many times a fighter has won by judges' decision. It can indicate a fighter who's technically sound and able to control the fight over 3 or 5 rounds. And finally, we have knockdowns. This metric counts how many times a fighter has dropped their opponent to the canvas. A knockdown can be a pivotal moment in a fight, often leading to a finish or influencing the judges' scorecards.